Digital Marketing Radio, episode 110. How has digital marketing strategy changed through the years?
This week's Inorganic.
It started off with the wrong jingle. That's what I did. Let's start.
DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
Okay, well, I'm David Bain, and this is Digital Marketing Radio, weekly interviews with online marketing gurus. Catch up with all the previous episodes at DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
The big interview with David Bain.
Today, I'm joined by someone who's been a digital strategist since 1997. He's author of 5 best-selling books and recognized by the Chartered Institute of Marketing as one of the 50 worldwide gurus who have shaped the future of digital marketing. Dr. Dave Chaffey, welcome to DMR.
Thank you, David. Good to see you, everyone.
Well, welcome, yeah. You can find Dave over at smartinsights.com. So, Dave, with that extensive background, are you still just as passionate about digital marketing as you were at the very beginning?
Yeah, I certainly am. I don't think I could have lasted with updating marketers around the world for 15 years without being super passionate. I think what I really enjoy is just making sense of all the changes that we see week by week, day by day, and working out which are the important ones, because I think many of the guys who read my books or follow our advice on Smart Insights, they don't have the time to be as passionate as me, because they've got the day job of getting the campaigns out, updating the website and so on. So for me, it's finding out whatever Facebook or Google, Twitter and so on are doing, it's working out what really matters, because you know, there's a lot of sites and they'll post 20 different posts a day, someone like TechCrunch, but you just don't need to know all of that. So I really love trying to help marketers navigate what really matters.
Yeah, you touched the nail on the head there. It's about what is important as opposed to just reading all the noise out there, because there's just so much information out there. It's so challenging to actually know what to listen to and what not to listen to. I guess that's what experience does for you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's why I've always focused on strategy, because as you talk to marketers and how they're looking to use digital, it's the challenge that seems to come back is prioritizing, and that's where having a strategy is important. Because if we're saying that there's all these changes, people tend to get excited about the latest change and they'll go off and they'll see how it can work for them, but actually they've maybe not got the fundamentals right. So we had last year, and before we had Vine, the Twitter videos. This year we had Meerkat and Periscope, and people get very excited about them, and there's lots of blog posts going up about them. Whereas for me, what's more interesting perhaps is the details of analytics, SEO, understanding the customer journeys on the site, looking at your mobile against desktop segments and working out what's really going to make a difference. So I think with Smart Insights, we set out to be a publisher that really just covers what matters and helps people develop those strategies. Because we find, I don't know what you think about this or the reasons behind this, but we ask people, do you have a digital strategy? It's a very simple question. Yes, we have one. Is it integrated into our marketing plan? Yes, we have one, but it's a separate document. Or no, we don't have one at all. We're doing digital marketing, and we don't have a strategy. So what would you reckon? How many people do you think wouldn't have a strategy at all? Bearing in mind it's 25 years since the web was developed.
I would say that lots of people, or most people would have different answers to that. Most people would think they know what a digital strategy is, but everyone would actually come up with something entirely different. And they would probably start bringing offline things, or talk about perhaps even how they'd be producing a piece of content, but not really being able to tie everything together and know how that relates to having an outstanding website and conversion rates. I think it's the tying of things together that people really struggle with.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, because we do every year we do a survey in association with Technology for Marketing, the big event in the UK, and we do ask this question, and 50%. We've done this 2 or 3 years now, and it doesn't seem to be improving. So there's around 50% of businesses actually admit we're doing digital, but we've got no strategy. So that's quite surprising. But when you drill down, you're right what you say, that it's the integration that they really struggle with. So I think it's easy to say, oh yeah, we need an SEO strategy or a social media strategy, or we need we need to improve our customer journeys on the site. So it's actually integrating all of those together and having a long-term plan and roadmap. That's where people struggle. And I think in the last, you're saying how strategies have changed. What seems to have happened in the last year or two in the bigger businesses, there's a focus on digital transformation. So we're finally acknowledging that you can't make these changes overnight. You do need a strategy, and you need to create that long-term roadmap while keeping it agile enough that, you know, it's not like one of those Eastern Bloc Soviet 5-year plans where everything is planned in advance and you just keep the output from the factories going. It obviously needs to be agile, and we like to think at Smart Insights, the resources we develop, we talk about 90-day plans. So you should really have different initiatives going on across digital, where you're perhaps optimizing part of the site, or optimizing one aspect of your email marketing or social media program. So it's balancing that long-term strategy but keeping it flexible enough. I think that's the best approach.
So it's tying all those different elements together. But can you think maybe of one element, one strategy or technique that you've been teaching since the very beginning that hasn't really changed that much at all?
Well, I think it's not a technique as such, but what hasn't changed is that you always have the customer journey, or you have the funnel. People will say, okay, you know, with the growth of social media, people said the funnel is dead. And while it may be true, you do get this great amplification effect where people are sharing. What you do still see is a funnel, and that's why with Smart Insights, what we've developed this race planning framework as a way of simplifying the strategy development. So what is the same is that you've got to develop a technique for customer engagement. As I was saying before, people have this idea there's loads of areas they need to work on. So they'll say, oh, I need an SEO strategy, an email strategy, a social media or content strategy, but really you need a method of bringing all of that together. So we've developed this this funnel that we called RACE, and RACE stands for how do I reach my audience, which is straightforward, either through driving them to your own site, reaching them on social media, or through outreach on blogs and publisher sites. And then you go into the interaction, and this is the real challenge, I think, because you'll know as a lover of analytics that when you look at a site, many people will just be around for a very short time and they'll bounce off. So how you engage people through the right messages, signposts, calls to action, and content, that's really one of the big challenges. So we look at, in our RACE framework, how do you interact through content marketing, putting the right customer journeys. And then you go on to the conversion stage, which is, of course, conversion online and offline. And that's how we try and integrate the channels to see how they can support each other to join the dots, as you were saying earlier. So a couple of techniques you can use there, of course, with email marketing, you can have an onboarding and a welcome strategy. But remarketing, whether it's in Google AdWords or some of the other networks like Criteo, Struck, that will support that process as well. So it's about getting as many touch points as possible. And then with the engage, of course, that's the long-term engagement of of customer communications through email and social. So you're saying one thing, and I think it's having that. The one thing is that you need a customer engagement strategy, and you use the different channels to support that, and that's how you bring everything together.
Okay, so it's much more about integration now, as it used to be.
Yeah, that's right. I think you used to have the specialists, didn't you? So you'd have, and the specialist agencies as well. If you think back 5 or 10 years, or 10 years, you'd have SEO agencies and PPC or AdWords agencies, and then they came together. Then you had your content marketing, brought on again, social media agencies. So you can see why it's so difficult to manage this, with particularly if it's a bigger business with lots of different agencies and internal resources as well. So integration is definitely the name of the game, and you need that customer engagement plan across the whole life cycle to bring it together with a planned approach. And I'd say the thing I've really enjoyed in digital, you were saying what am I passionate about? The thing I've really, the technique I've really loved over the last 2 or 3 years is content marketing, because that's got away from these silos of search, social, email marketing, and content and social media together. That kind of underpins everything. So if you can nail your content marketing strategy, then I think everything will flow from that. So if people say, what's the one area, like you, or what's the one area you must focus on, I think it's having a content marketing strategy, which just means you can deliver, you can engage people better than your competitors can. Which
is what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, of course, that's one element of it. And the guys listening, actually, if they'd like to get some ideas on content marketing strategy, we Smart Insights, our content strategy, of course, we do the blog post thing, and that works quite well. We get what's the latest? We get about 750,000 views a month. So I do, although I've written books and continue to update them, we really practice what we preach, and we blog regularly. But at the heart of it is our infographics we produce, and there's a couple called the Content Marketing Matrix, which allows you to map out how the different types of content you use. And then we have the content distribution distro matrix, which is helping you think about the right sort of channels to do outreach or paid media promotion. So hopefully you can see that content marketing is my one of my big passions at the moment.
Yes, absolutely, one of mine as well. And a couple of elements that you mentioned there as part of an integrated approach a few times: email and social media. Now, you wrote a book about 10 years ago and updated it since about email marketing. Would you say that since the advent of social media, come say 2008 or so, and after that, email has become less important, or it's still just as important and just has to be integrated again with other elements?
Yeah, great question. It's I'd say it has become less important, but I've been surprised how important it remains. And when I talk about these things and I advised, it's not so much on the gut feel, it's around using the analytics as well. So you'll certainly see, if you look at the opens and clicks on email, it's a little harder than it was 10 years ago. But if you look at what's actually driving sale, so for example, for retailers, it is really email marketing is way up there. So some of the listeners in the US may know there's a retail service, personalization service called Custora, and they've got these great stats which show they've got a monthly benchmark update. It shows what's actually driving sale, and the top 3 are organic, number 1, paid search, number 2, and email in third position. And if you actually look where social is for retail, it is nowhere at all. So those channels I mentioned, they're up at around the 15-20% plus of sales, but social's actually sub 5%. And I've seen research from Forrester and Gartner's and others that when you look at attribution and the contribution of multiple channels, social just isn't, it's just not up there, despite all the fact we love talking about it, and you know, as individuals and marketing pros, we love using it. So, you know, I've been expecting a bit of a backlash against social media for some time. I'm not saying it doesn't have its place, but I'm saying that the time we put into optimizing channels is sometimes misplaced. But
Right.
I know one of your roles is working with an SEO service, so I guess that's music to your ears anyway.
Yes, I mean, you said social media does have its place, but then I was thinking, but it's got to know its place, as in it's not the most important focus. It's integrated within your story. You know, you have to get your website, you know, and your conversion funnel right to begin with, and if you've got that right, to certain degrees, social will happen naturally around that.
Yeah, that's right. It's so social is like content that it is relevant across the whole life cycle. So with our race framework, social, you need to think how you can use it at every part. So so with reaching people, you can use it for new prospects. With Smart Insights, for instance, we use LinkedIn because it's got this fantastic targeting capability. If I want to target digital marketers in Australia between the age of 35 and 45, you know, in companies of a particular size, I can do that. So I'd be dumb not to be using social media at all. But the volumes that you get from that are actually quite low compared to SEO. But then going through the whole life cycle, you can use, like you were saying with the website, you've got the social proof where people leave reviews and ratings and testimonials. Those are important. And then it's once you're on to customers and engaging them, I think that's where social media really kicks in. If you can encourage people to share your content. So all of our planning resources on Smart Insights, we've got, as you'd expect, social share buttons there, and this is actually for paid content around planning, but you can really see which content our members like best through that. So we've just launched a digital media cheat sheet, for example. I can see, you know, that's really hit the nail because it's helping people learn what the changes that they need to take action on.
Also, in relation to changes, you changed the name of your book from internet marketing to digital marketing. And I also did the same. I changed the name of my own personal training program from 26-week internet marketing plan to 26-week digital marketing plan. What were your reasons behind changing from internet marketing to digital marketing?
Okay, well, yeah, we're actually going back to 2001 when that was first produced. So it was actually well due an update. And I don't think it will surprise you or anyone else listening that we use the Google keyword tool, now Google Keyword Planner and Google Trends to make that decision. So through time, you could see the curves gradually changing and then that overlapping. I think digital marketing, it may be, I think we launched with the IDM, the training provider in the UK. I was involved in defining the first digital marketing diploma, which was in 2004, and we were using my internet marketing book to support that. But I think the US, actually, they were sticking with internet marketing for a bit longer. And then it's really the last 2 or 3 years. And I think these days, internet marketing just means spammy, cowboy, get rich quick.
Make money online.
Yeah, make money online. So yeah, that's a positive change. I did have another book as well, actually, called Email, as well as the email marketing one you mentioned, called E-Marketing Excellence, which still goes. So I saw those three. You saw digital marketing gradually going up, and it's now the dominant term, which I think is great because it shows that it is about across all of these tools that we're mentioning, from email and content and search and social. So and the CRM and data side as well. So it's really the best way to bring everything together.
Absolutely. One of the reasons I also changed was that I was starting to talking about using Kindle books and digital magazines as well. And they were produced in digital form, but not necessarily consumed online as well. So internet or online marketing didn't necessarily apply.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I think when we talk about digital as well, we should talk about multi or integrated digital, because one of the problems I've seen, particularly in larger businesses, is you get these specialist teams set up to manage digital, and then they don't talk to the traditional marketers. So as you're saying there, online marketing, it's really complemented by offline. So you need to find the best way to integrate things. I mean, if you look at conversion rates now, the conversion rates you'll see in store are still way higher than they are in online channels. So we've got a compilation on the site. I think it's about 3% conversion rate online. So we've been working at this now for 10, 15 years, and it's still at that rate. People do still like to use other channels. And of course, mobile and smartphone conversions even lower. Now that's become important. So it's again integrating mobile these days with those other channels.
Yeah, I saw a talk you gave a couple of months ago, actually, and you were talking about how it's not necessarily mobile first now, and obviously conversion rates has a lot to do with it now. But we could keep on talking a long time about this, but let's segue into the second section of our discussion. So that focuses more on your thoughts on where digital marketing in general has been and where it's going. So starting off with
software I couldn't live without.
So what software do you currently use in your business that if someone took away from you, it would significantly impact your marketing success?
How many have I allowed?
One, if possible.
Oh, just one? No, that's not possible. I did a post looking at the 10 tools I couldn't live without. So I'll meet you in the middle and give 5. So yeah, we're mad keen on analytics and using data-driven marketing. So of course, Google Analytics is well up there because you can't really track people at an individual level. What we use as well is KISS metrics for our analytics and reporting. As I say, we've got a fairly big blog where we publish 15 posts a week. So WordPress, we certainly couldn't live without. And then going alongside that, Hootsuite and Buffer for the social sharing. So our blog editor is all over those. So sorry, I cheated there by choosing 5.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, I'll cheat as well, and I'll add a follow-on question. You mentioned you published 15 articles a week. How many do you personally publish or write?
Well, when we started Smart Insights, which was back in 2011, we were probably more at the 3 or 4 a week, and I was writing most of those with colleagues. But now we use we have a whole series of expert commentators. So there'll be, say, Tim Watson, Jordi Van Reen on email. There'll be Rennie Power on B2B marketing, Rob Thurner on mobile marketing, and so on. So we've got about 25 specialist writers who write regularly. Marie Page on Facebook, she's probably listening. But then we also have guest posts as well. So if anyone is interested in contributing to Smart Insights and they've got an interesting story to tell, that's how we manage the volume. But of course, we've got a very long editorial guidelines, which helps keep the quality right, because you do find if you follow that guest blogging model, there are a lot of people who do want to blog just for links, and with Google's guidance from, I think it was February last year, wasn't it, on guest posting, we make sure that it's top-notch quality content, and so it seems to work.
And here's a slightly more challenging question. What piece of software don't you use, but you've heard good things about and you intend to try at some point in the near future?
Well, we're definitely doing this, but looking at marketing automation, and we're going to be using Infusionsoft. We have used a similar CRM email system before now, but we found it wasn't good for really lead scoring, understanding different engagement levels of audiences on the site. So for us, it's Infusionsoft, which I think is great for particularly for information businesses like ours.
Lovely. Okay, well, I'll include links to all those recommendations you made at digitalmarketing.com. marketingradio.com in the show notes. But moving on to,
I wish I would have.
I'd like you to look back on the very first day that you were involved in trying to market a business online. What didn't you do so well? What do you wish that you would have done differently?
Okay, I'm going to have to pause to think about this to get everyone a good answer.
That's okay. I'll set some clock ticking here.
Yeah, no, you're all right. It's not that slow. I think actually I can contrast being because when I was writing the books originally, so 2000 and 2005, I got in fairly early on to the blogging side of things. So and I was using, this was pre-WordPress, I guess. I was using this content management system called Plone or Zope that no one would know, and hacking that myself. And the mistake I made was not investing in the right quality of design or other partners to generate content, because going back to 97, when you said at the top I started, I was hand coding in HTML, and I used to be, with an IT background, there's a tendency to try and do everything. So the reason I'm mentioning this, I think, as a practical tip for people starting out with new businesses and blogging, is they tend to cut corners on some key areas which can affect the credibility. And I remember someone actually emailed me anonymously and said, Dave, you really need to invest in some creative on the site. And anyone who knows Smart Insights now, you'll see that we do invest a lot in that. And I think it's a key part of content marketing as well. People will try and say, they think, okay, we're going to do an infographic. We'll use some infographic generation tool. And it looks okay, but average doesn't really cut it in content marketing. It needs to be outstanding, awesome. So investing so that you can cut through with your creative and so you can look credible. I think that's the biggest mistake I made early on, but I think I learned it. And when we launched Smart Insights, we did invest in that.
Interesting, and it's a great tip for today as well.
The this or that round.
So this is the quick response round, 10 quick questions, and just 2 rules here. Try not to think about the answer too much, and you're only allowed to say the word both on one occasion. Ready to go?
Okay.
Email or Twitter?
Email.
Audio or video?
Video.
Affiliates or display advertising?
Display ads, remarketing.
Facebook or Google+?
Facebook, of course. Dumb question.
Online press releases or one-on-one relations?
Oh, one-on-one every time.
Paid search or SEO?
SEO every time.
Email contact form or telephone number?
I've blown it, haven't I? You need a buzzer going off.
Is this your both?
No, it depends.
Website or app?
Website, always.
Social subscriber or email subscriber?
Email.
And local marketing or global marketing?
It depends.
Ooh. Okay, that's why I leave a both, because most people leave the both until the last one there. But you were struggling with email contact form or telephone number a little bit. Is that because you have to have both, or you just couldn't quite make up your mind? It depends on the business.
It's actually because Smart Insights, we're just employed this month a new guy to follow up, and we're actually discussing that this very week to discuss leads, and so we haven't decided just yet.
Okay. So
you
don't want to pre-influence the final decision that ends up happening.
No, we're testing it.
The $10,000 question.
Okay, if I was to give you $10,000 to spend on one thing to grow your business over the next few days, what would you spend it on, and how would you measure success?
Well, it would be content marketing, because then I can include SEO, and it will fuel social and email. And I'll use some advanced techniques in Google Analytics that most people using content marketing don't use. So, I'll actually set goals on my site. I'll look at revenue and goal value per visit, and I'll find the content that's actually working. you can get that value per visit measure from individual pieces of content. That's what we do.
Great stuff. Okay, and then you'd obviously spend more money in the areas that were working most.
Yeah, we're on top of that.
My number one takeaway.
Well, Dave, you've offered a lot of great advice in our conversation, but what would you say is the number one takeaway? What's the single most important step that our listeners need to take away and implement in their own businesses?
Well, one thing I haven't mentioned is CRO, conversion rate optimization. I just don't get why businesses don't seem to invest in this. There's very few agencies offering CRO services because there's not the demand from businesses to do A/B and multivariate testing. But if you're not running those tests regularly, you can't really second guess what's going to influence, what's going to persuade your audience. So you need to be running tests across the whole website, the whole customer journey, to get better results. I saw a case study presented at e-commerce expo, and these guys were actually ramping up the number of tests they were doing. It was a big multi-channel retailer, but they were ramping up from 50 tests a month to 100, and I think they're now at 150. Wow. And what they found of those tests, around a third actually made things worse, a third made no difference, and a third improved them a lot. And that's what I mean by you can't second guess it.
And so what's your favorite CRO?
Sorry.
What's your favorite CRO tool at the moment?
Well, we actually just use the Google Content Experiments, which is a free tool, of course. But to get people started, Unbounce would be a good landing page CRO tool I'd recommend.
Great. Okay. Well, that takes us to the end of our discussion today. So thank you so much for your time and your advice there. What's the best way for our audience to find out more about you and what you do?
Well, I'm on all the social networks, of course, but I prefer to connect in LinkedIn. So yeah, head over to LinkedIn. Maybe say you listen to the podcasts, and you can ask questions and follow updates from Smart Insights on there.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks again, Dave, and thank you, dear listener, for joining us. If you like what you heard, I'd really appreciate your feedback. So just go to digitalmarketingradio.com/iTunes and please leave an honest rating and review. It would be absolutely fab to hear from you, and of course, it would help to improve the rankings of the show in iTunes. And finally, I'm also now hosting a brand new live show every Friday called This Week in Organic. So head over to thisweekinorganic.com to find out more. So that's all for now. Until we meet again, adios. Thanks again, David.
Thanks, everyone.